Welcome to Bruins Overtime Live, presented by buyatoyota.com. For offers not seen on TV, visit buyatoyota.com. Alongside Billy Jaffe and Andrew Raycroft, I'm Dale Arnold. It would have been a very good trip if they had held on. It is still a good trip.
Yeah, I'd say it's closer to actually very good, considering how poorly it started, right? They dug themselves a hole, but they really worked hard to dig out. I mean, they did, and I felt that they were working their backsides off tonight, and I thought for like 98% of the time, this was a very smart game by the Bruins. You understand who you're going against, and there's going to be some mistakes that happen just based off of the frenetic pace that Edmonton can play with. But for the most part, I thought they did a good job. Yeah, I don't like the loss, but on the other hand, at least they got a point.
Completely agree. And I thought, even though they gave up a goal in the third period, I thought they played a really good third period.
Yeah.
They were aggressive, like we talked about. They put pucks on net whenever they could. They made Oilers go 200 feet. McDavid's the best player in the world. He made a play, and he got around the defense, and he went to the net hard, and got rewarded for it. But at the end of the day, 2-0-1 in the last 3 games is pretty good.
Let's take a look at how the road trip went for the Bruins, and it started abysmally. Back-to-back losses. The first 2 games of the trip outscored 13-2, and from that point on, really good.
Yeah, like these are what we'll call the obvious stats, right? Besides the record, the goals, etc. But if you really dive into it, and I was doing that earlier today, I mean, like things that were that had to get better. Their slot shots allowed, so much better. Their entries, so much better. If you dive into the more analytics of it, they got smarter, they got harder to play against, they got more responsible, and they didn't seem to let things bother them. Those first 2 games, Razor, it seems like 2 years ago, but those first 2 games, it was like one mistake again, everything unraveled. Something they had earlier this year.
And they stayed out of the box,
yep.
Which was the undoing in the first 2 games as well. So they got more discipline on top of all the things you just said. So lots to build on, lots to be happy about as they come home. We just said they've got a big game Saturday night, which is kind of part of the road trip as they travel home tomorrow. So that'll be a big one on Saturday night. But again, to this point, they've built their game through this road trip.
Bruins had a 2-0 lead at the end of the first period. More on that a little bit later on. Edmonton came back with a goal in the second. Bruins were desperately trying to hold on to that lead in the third period and did so until the final 3 minutes, and then they got McDavided.
They did. And this play along the boards, we kind of talked about it. You needed to be completely perfect not to allow Edmonton any chances. Unfortunately, a couple plays went through a stick there to Charlie Coyle. And then, again, McDavid just has an extra gear that no one else has. And he was able to take advantage of a D that was out there a long time off of an icing, off of a face-off. They weren't able to change. You see the D getting ready to change. They can't do so because of that turnover. Low rise late getting into the net, and he gets stuck and gets in the crease with Swayman, who just can't squeeze that puck.
Everything about that play, you say, oh.
So close.
It was so close, right.
Yes.
But that was the if play of that period. You know, you have 2 guys that are changing. Actually, 3 guys, include the defenseman. And then if only it was Janmark that got the puck and not Connor McDavid. You know, I mean, it was that type of play that, you know, Zadorov couldn't gap because he was coming back and everything went down. But if you couldn't have asked for the worst person to get the puck on the stick at that time in the game.
Well, then they went to sudden death overtime. The Bruins coming into this game had a 6-3 record in OT. Edmonton had been 5-2 coming into the game. Mattias Ekholm got the goal with 1:03 played in the overtime, and everybody went home.
How has Edmonton lost 1 game in overtime with this talent?
No kidding.
That's the biggest thing. So the Bruins get an opportunity in overtime, or we'll get to that in a moment. You start seeing the skating legs going, and you're just 3-on-3, so guys could be gassed. And then here at the end, we can go back to the Swayman pass, but at the end, Ekholm is going to be the 3rd guy, literally, and he stays above the puck, and he gets to come to him. And the big Swedish defender smokes. Look, Pasta is gassed. And now they come down 2-on-1 the other way. What does that cause everybody else to do? To bust their butts so much that they over-pursue the play.
Over-pursue, and then right as the goal is being scored, they have 2 players below the goal line. So, again, Lindholm, Marshy's coming off of the bench, does a really good job on the back check. Unfortunately, neither one of those guys stop in front. The puck bounces back out, and National Hockey League player is going to bury that one.
Draisaitl.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Draisaitl right here. See, that's a really good backhand play to put it on net. If he misses that, it goes into the corner. and maybe it's a different result, but he's got that huge stick. He's so strong. He gets it on net, and that leads to the opportunity for Ekholm.
That takes us to our star of the game, presented by Subaru of New England. Fall in love with a brand new Subaru. He was the guy who assisted on both the game-tying goal in the third and the game-winning goal in overtime. Leon Draisaitl, last 7 games, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points, +7. Tonight, 3 assists overall, including on both the tying and the game-winning goal.
Yeah, and he signed for another 8, and Connor's going to be signed soon for more. It's the two of them together. They're just amazing. And Leon Draisaitl is one of those players that, it's funny, I'm going to say this, does he even get enough credit? He probably, no. he does from hockey experts, but people, but the average fan, they might not know because all they hear about is Connor McDavid. He is so good.
They're both really good.
So good.
Plenty more to come on Bruins Overtime Live. We'll get reaction to the Bruins overtime loss tonight against the Oilers, plus Andy Brickley. We'll go one-on-one with head coach Joe Sacco right after the break.